Hello my beautiful friends and welcome back to our channel and today's video where we're talking about B+ work. So this is a concept that I learned from the life coach school and it has been so life-changing for me that I just really wanted to try and plant the seed for the rest of you so that you can take this into your life and use it. So a lot of us are perfectionists. The more and more people I speak to about coaching, the more and more I realize that this is not a specific problem. This is embedded in so many of us, and I think it's likely because of the way that our schooling system works at the moment. Just to start with, most of us go through the traditional school system, and through that we learn that work is good or bad, there's a right answer and a wrong answer, and that the work that you do can draw a verdict about who you are and what you're worth and what your prospects are for the future or not. And when we learn this year after year after year after year, it's very difficult to unlearn, especially in such formative years of our lives. But as adults, it's important that we take responsibility for the way that we think, because that affects, of course, our emotions and our behaviors in the world. So as much as a lot of us want to say, well, it's just the way that I am, it's just my personality, I want to remind you that the way that you think is malleable. Our brains are plastic. We're not hardwired a certain way that we can never change. But in fact, we know that our mind is what controls or influences the structure of our brain, the way that our neural pathways are formed. So you always have the opportunity to think differently. And while it may be hard at first, the more and more you do it, the more and more it becomes easy. I like to say, practice makes programming, but we really do need to practice. Especially in this day and age, lots of us want to just click our fingers and be different, or just do it, just be different, just do things differently. But once and done things aren't really the case for probably any important thing in our lives. Anything that's really important to us is probably going to take purposeful, dedicated work to be able to reap and enjoy the rewards of it. So with that being said, I want to introduce this concept of B+ work. I want you to keep your minds open and let's let this one change your life. So what we find time and time again in coaching is that for a lot of the time when we don't have the results, the outcomes in our lives that we want, it's often because we are holding ourselves back. Not because of some other outside structural thing that stops us, and not because we're not actually capable of doing it ourselves. But in the middle here, we just get in our own way, so that all the stuff inside of us, all this good stuff that we can produce and can output and can be in the world, just gets blocked by our own thinking, by our decisions, that when examined consciously, we might not even support or stand by in any instance. So something that got in my way for a very long time was this need to produce work that was good enough. The thought that my work wasn't good enough, or even it was a prettier thought than that. It was probably thoughts more like, this could be better, this could be great, I can do better. Things that sound positive and pretty and productive and noble and useful were actually creating these negative results for me. Because the truth is, while that might be useful in the sense that it might ultimately increase the quality of my work, we only have a very short time in this world. And if we're not producing work, putting out there, getting feedback about the work and seeing the impact that it has, then we don't often get all that information out there outside of ourselves, and the information from completing and assessing it ourselves that we can only get from actually shipping it, as Seth Godin would say, shipping your work, putting it out there. But when we're constantly in our internal little bubble and improvement mode, we don't really stop and judge well what work is actually impactful and what work is actually high priority to actually improve on. Instead, we just try and make all of it better and better and better and better. So a lot of us get tricked into this idea of wanting to produce A+ work, when actually B+ work could have the impact that you want. You could put it out in the world and then you can move on to the next thing. You could build on top of that work and build in a more intelligent way, because now you've got feedback. Now you're assessing it from a distance out there in the world. One of the big troubles with A+ work is it's very difficult to judge. When are you ever done? When is ever enough? When is good enough? It will be very hard to ever say that you're done. It's very hard to draw the verdict that this is the best work possible. And so it just can keep you in this spiral and this spin. Now, a lot of us got away with this perfectionistic type thinking when we were in school or even in university, because the fact is we actually had some hard deadlines. So as much as we strive to make things perfect or A+, there was a deadline to the work. So even if it wasn't perfectly perfect, A+, we would still have to hand it in. But here's the thing, when it comes to real life, we don't have deadlines anymore. Well, we have some deadlines in some work situations and so on. But you know, if you're trying to create a life that has all the components that you want in it, then we don't have deadlines for all of those things that are important to us. So not only is this a problem for work that you're already working on and already committed to submitting or shipping, putting out in the world or creating in the world, but it's also really relevant to starting something. Because a lot of what perfectionistic thinking people will do is they'll put off things in their life that they want. They don't want to start it because it's not the right time, because it's not the time where they can produce that A+ work. They want to wait until the A+ work is available, until their circumstances allow for them to produce that high quality work. However, if you are happy with B+, if you see the benefits of B+ work and you're willing to work for something, work your absolute butt off for B+ work because you see how valuable that is, then perhaps you will start things instead of delaying things in your life because it's not the right time. So in complete honesty, this probably took me many years of just rattling around in my head, just being in the back of my mind, this concept of B+ work, until I actually started to implement it in my life. Perhaps it's only been in the last year or so, maybe 6 months or so, that I feel like I have been happy, excited, proud of producing B+ work. But it took a long time for me to transition into that place. So it's okay if it takes you time as well. It's a very foreign, uncomfortable concept for us. Again, like I said, all of our socialization makes this a terrifying thing. If this is something that you struggle with, you're always waiting for the perfect time, you're always trying to get more credentials or more qualified, or you find yourself just spinning and creating more and more work, then coaching is something that's likely really going to help you. This also comes up with issues of imposter syndrome and people pleasing and procrastination. So let me know what you guys are struggling with. I would love to help you in any way that I can, and I'll see you guys in my next video.